So yes, I was scared. It was a scary place. It was a dark and dreary and sad place too. Is Terry Love. I'm a registered nurse, and nearly 40 years ago, I did my clinical rotation here at Eastern State / Lakeshore Medical Facility or Mental Health Facility. I was scared, especially when we first started, because they painted it as a dangerous place and given explicit instructions like never look the patients in the eye when you're walking down the hall or if you're alone, and all kinds of other things that scared you to death. We worked down here during our psychiatric rotation, just like you practice working in the hospital, doing your medical clinical work. To do psychiatric clinical work, this is where you had to come. So yes, we were all scared. I was just 18 years old and had never been around anybody that had any kind of psychiatric illness. Every other week there were medication holidays. So just like in the hospitals they do now with patients that are in intensive care under sedation, they'll go for 24 hours without giving them sedation to see what happened. The people here would go for a period of time, and I can't remember what it was, without their medication. So that was always another fun time to work, was when the patients were on their medication holidays. Everybody smoked, so everywhere you looked, people were pacing and smoking. That's all they did. And we'll just say you never wanted to look in the bushes. They divided the men residents from the women residents, but if they were out in public, you never looked in the bushes. We'll just say that. I remember one time we were leaving for lunch, and we would leave the campus to go eat lunch because nobody wanted to eat here. We would drive out the back gate, and down at the bottom of the hill is a creek or a stream. And so I looked over, and there was my patient baptizing himself. So he had somehow gotten through the fence, over the fence, and was down next to the road baptizing himself. So we had to turn around and come back and go in and say, David, my patient, had escaped. And there was another building, too, that was a white cinder block building that we were told never to go in, and nobody talked about it, so I don't know what. We were given a patient, and we'd have to come down here. Usually, I think it was the day before or sometime the week before we started, and go to where your patient was and get his chart and review his history and medication so that you had a little bit of knowledge about what was going on with him when you got down here. And you would formulate your plan, what you were going to do, what you were going to talk to him about. But especially the first day or the first week, until you got used to it, it was very scary because they painted it as a dangerous place. I was on the locked men's ward, which was right down that way, and it truly was locked. Another thing that's surprising to me is the road. When I was here, the road came directly in front of this building. This was the admissions building, and this is where the patients were admitted to, and then they would be delivered to whatever building it was decided they needed to go to. So the road came here, the patients would come into this building and be evaluated. The whole campus when I was here was 100 acres, if I remember correctly. It's amazing to see how pretty it is. What I am just blown away by is the beauty of this place. You can see the mountains and the water. I never saw that.
I'm Bradley, and I am the Development Director for Lakeshore Park. I have been in the development world for my entire career, and most recently I worked for the Boys and Girls Club of the Tennessee Valley doing a capital campaign to build a new main building, and then came to work for Lakeshore Park to do a very similar job to help raise the capital funds to implement and build the park facilities. Lakeshore Park has a $60 million master plan that we are working from. The master plan was developed through collaboration with citizens and the city government. In that master plan, we have segmented out about $25 million worth of elements to implement right away. So we are working on raising that $25 million and then building those features. But ultimately, this site has parking, launch area for non-motorized watercraft, picnic sites, a boat wash. The old chapel, which is a lovely little marble building that was a part of the hospital community for all of its years, probably from mid-century on, renovated to become an open-air pavilion for events, and there will be gardens around that area. And so that's one of the first things that the administration building, the view looking down the hill and through the gardens of the chapel, I think is going to be spectacular. We have begun construction. If you've been to the park lately, you've seen a lot of dirt moving all around. And we anticipate that some of those new facilities will be open by this summer.